Ellen Page does decide to switch to the Shaman, and Whiskey Badger left with just the Mage. So it looks to be more of a fatigue slash freeze. Probably more likely to be the freeze variation. But with the heal bots, you can never be sure. It could be designed to draw out your opponent. Both of them look to have a fairly strong hand here in the early game. The Leper Gnome coming out. Whiskey Badger able to answer that with a coin Mad Scientist or Loot Hoarder, deciding on what he wants to do. He could have pinged it, obviously. Decides to not do that. Minions seem stronger. With the Mad Scientist, you really want to use those as early as you can and get them to die before you draw into your secrets. Because obviously, the goal of Mysterious Challenger is to pull the secrets out of your deck, but if you have them in your hand, then they will not be put in play by the Mad Scientist. So, drawing into those is really good early game. Let's go ahead and see what that secret is. It is an ice block that is set up. So definitely looking like a little bit of a better board here for Ellen Page with those wolves coming out. It prevents the trade in from the Mad Scientist, so if Whiskey Badger wants to kill that Leper Gnome, they will have to ping it off, or Frostbolt, I suppose, would have been an option. Doesn't seem super strong. This is probably going to be Barrier. Yes, it is. We'll just show you that for everyone at home, though. So with the attack into the face, will cause the Ice Barrier to proc. Ellen Page is going to try to keep on the pressure here. That Healing Totem is kind of a big deal. Will prevent the ping on the taunt minion. But not too much, because I'm sure he's going to trade in there anyway. Whiskey Badger has the Doomsayer, but doesn't have a board freeze to back it up with in hand, so Ellen Page is either going to have to silence that off or dump a decent amount of damage into it. Silence seems pretty good. Not a whole lot of other minions they're going to need to silence. The goal for the aggro shaman here is to have your opponent dead before some of those bigger minions come out that you'd be looking to silence, like the Archmage Antonidas that you can see in hand. So Whiskey Badger able to finally get his some draw down with the Acolyte of Pain, so he can start to use that to refill his hand. He's got 4 cards in hand though, so he hasn't exactly fizzled out. Ellen Page though is going to use the Lightning Bolt to prevent that from drawing more than 1 card. So knowing the advantage of Freeze Mage drawing through their deck, Ellen Page definitely viewed it as a high enough threat to use the Lightning Bolt on and prevent that from getting too much value for Whiskey Badger, who is going to be forced to answer with a freeze to kind of stall. Doesn't have the damage to kill anything, but is able to stall out that board and prevent a little bit of damage coming at his face next turn. It is only going to lock out 5 damage, which doesn't seem like a lot, especially with that barrier, but Whiskey Badger is looking like he wants to get more value out of that Emperor Thorzen, so kind of trying to see if he can draw into some more burn before he slams that down. The Flame Strike will clear off a couple minions, but the one will still survive thanks to the Divine Shield. So now we'll see what Ellen Page wants to answer with. He did have the Sir Finley, which could be huge here depending on what the hero power is. If he's able to pick up a life tap, he goes for that right away, or to pick up this draw mechanic, which will prevent them from fizzling out. Able to tap into a Crackle. He's debating on whether he wants to use it now. He can't use both spells. So he could not pop his opponent at this time because of the barrier in place. So Ellen Page is deciding how he wants to sequence these attacks. Since he does have the burst in hand, it doesn't seem too relevant to pop the barrier with the minion here. Because essentially just heals your opponent for 6 as opposed to actually doing a decent amount of damage. The abusive though here, not a whole lot of help. The leper gnome could be, if you're able to set your opponent low enough, then it does prevent Whiskey Badger from using some AoE clears. And it appears that Ellen Page is going to try to kill the Emperor Thor's, depending on how much damage the Crackle roll. If it had rolled, well, he doesn't have a spell power out there, so it couldn't have done that. But if it had rolled 6, he would have been able to Lava Burst Whiskey Badger and pop the block there. But such is not the case, so Ellen Page does pick up another Crackle, so he's able to pop his opponent over the top if he wants to. But now that he's down to 16, he is dead to double Fireball and the Antonidas running in. I suppose he was dead to double Fireball, Antonidas, Ping, regardless. So that was the argument for tapping there. So he had to clear off that Archmage Antonidas in order to survive a turn. So the tap actually helped him save himself for a turn rather. So that was a really strong play from him, recognizing Ellen Page that they were dead if they did not tap anyway. So had to tap, see if they could get an answer. And fortunately, they did draw into an answer. But now Ellen Page will have to draw some damage. That is not going to be it. And with the 2 fireballs in hand... Oh, hold the phone. I forgot about the tap. He was able to tap, gets the lightning bolt off the tap. And with that, rather, Ellen Page is able to tie the series up at 2 games apiece. So that tap really coming in huge. As I pointed out earlier, how big of an impact that tap could have on the game. And it ended up being the game changer. If they don't take the tap there, they're in a pretty big pickle. Unless they had gone with the Hunter hero power. That would